Good morning. Welcome to my new series of the Library Book review. It's Your Loss. Living with grief is hard. We hope this book will help. I am experiencing the 5 stages of grief: denial, anger, bargaining, and 2 others. However, I have completely rejected religion and reverted to both Roman Catholic as well as atheism coping mechanisms to unbrainwash myself, and I do this by re-recording books which are of interest to me. You can kindly keep your opinions to yourself. When I do offend you, which I will, you can unfollow me and remove me. I am an orphan, and I'm proud to say so. Nobody likes Lost Town. True story. It's not a place we intend to go, and yet it's a place that all of us do. Unfortunately, at some point or another, if you live a life, you're going to experience some kind of loss, and very often it sucks. Like a whirling vortex, it whips you away and manages to make you feel terribly alone just when you need the most support. It spins you out of your routine and lived experiences and dumps you into an emotional hinterland where you may or may not find yourself eating chocolate spread out of the jar for years on end. Also, like a whirling vortex, it does not come with an instruction manual, until now. Okay, it's not quite an instruction manual, but this book will talk about what it's like to go through a loss. Any loss, whether it's the death of a loved one, the end of a career, a marriage, an estrangement, anything. And it's here to help, no matter what kind of loss-y you are. It's designed to help you get your head around what to expect, navigate some of the emotions, and ultimately come out the other side knowing yourself a little bit better. We work on the idea that whoever or whatever you lose, the feelings and responses attached to the situation are broadly the same because they come from you. The experience of losing a career, for example, can mirror the feelings you have when you lose a loved one. In general, the world's pretty lenient when you're bereaved, but people can be less understanding when you're still in your pajamas 6 months after a divorce. So, we've taken a romp through our own experiences and aim to help you look at yours, understanding the many and varied ways that they fit into and inform your life. Because they do inform your life, for better or worse, and we're here to help it be for the better as much as possible. Think of this book like one of the topographically unsound, abstract, but jolly maps you get for theme parks. There will be some oversized illustrations of the main characters and points of interest, the locations of the toilets and the food, and the rest you'll fill in yourself as you wander around. We'll be the tour guides waving a giant umbrella. The 2 of us are total opposites in the way we think, speak, dress, socialize, dance, live, and grieve. So when we both lost our mum figures to cancer in our mid-20s, we couldn't have dealt with it in more different ways. And after much thinking and wondering, we believe that a lot of that was down to the fact that we're each a fairly extreme version of introvert and extrovert. In case you're hoping for an oversimplified definition of what that means, an introvert is somebody who deals with things on the inside, and an extrovert is somebody who deals with things on the outside. The introvert does a lot of thinking by themselves. The introvert does a lot of talking with other people. In the middle of our 2 ways of doing life sits everything else. The introverts with extrovert tendencies, the extroverts with introvert tendencies, the ones who are on some days and another the next. We hope that you'll see some of what we're talking about and go, yes, me too. You might be asking yourself, but why should I listen to this pair of women with a pretty conventional experience of loss? Well, because of just that. We get it in a reassuringly basic and universal way. As you sit there in a heap, we're nodding because we get it. As you ponder whether it's possible for the human heart just to grind to a halt with sadness, we get it. As you plot a murder rampage because all the other thoughtless bastards seem to be carrying on with their lives like civilization isn't fundamentally over, like it is for you, we get it. Why do we get it? Because, friends, we've been on this journey before. Losing our best women was the hardest time of our young lives, but through it we learned so much about ourselves, about relationships, and about the world. We both often say that we'd have been a bit adrift had we not had each other to check in with now and again and say, well, this is shit, isn't it? And that's what we want this book to be, a little life raft in the choppy waters of the great sea of loss. So we've packed our emotional knapsack, hoisted the Kleenex sails, and recruited first mate Dr. Sheetal Dangdi, our resident psychotherapist, to offer some bona fide mental health insight into our various coping mechanisms. Because we're very much not medical professionals, we're just two people who went through some stuff and want to help other people going through something similar. And we found that talking about it with people has really helped. In fact, we'd both say uncomfortably that some of the best things we have in life wouldn't be there if we hadn't first gone through loss. Loss sucks, yes, but there are ways to help yourself respond to it differently, ways to find it less terrifying, and ways to shift your mind away from the trauma. Once you do that, you're not only able to remember the good bits about the person or things you lost, you can perhaps start living life in a whole new way. Then, because we know that there are as many ways to do loss as there are stars in the sky, we'll hear from others along the way too, with stories, snippets, and poetry from people who've trodden these boards before. This book is about the things you've learned through loss, repackaged for you. We can dig into what happened, hold the bad bits at arm's length to look at them, before dusting off the bitter bits to reassure you that you probably will come out the other end in some ways improved. With more moving parts and lots of sellotape holding you together, but there and still ticking over. And we'll serve those bits up to you like a mama bird puking her soupy info goodness straight into your sad little mouth. Delicious. Because of all of the above, we're going to try to be the people we desperately need when we were stuck in lost town. You'll hear our stories next, so you know we're coming from where, and we'll talk about the general logistics of loss in logistics. Then we'll unpack the suitcase carrying all the emotional baggage in the unmistakable whiff of guilt, anger, anxiety, and the rest. And if you've been wondering why everything else feels so terrible since your loss, that chapter might be a help. We'll talk support networks in Loss Club, finding your cultural nesting spot in the wide world, and self-care in Treat Yourself. Then we'll find different ways to memorialize the thing you lost in misty watercolor memories before we rediscover the nearly new you in You 2.0, and before one final farewell in the Mic Drop outro, we'll look at ways to help friends in need in I Got You, Dave, a must-read if you're caring for anybody ever, we think. This isn't the 7 steps, it's more pick your own adventure. We'll be there to hold your hand as you tread your own mind-bogglingly individual path, shouting, supporting, and hopefully insightful things along the way. This book is for you if you've gone through loss, if you know somebody going through a loss, or if you hope to understand how it feels. This book is for you if you're trying to find the normal in the most abnormal but inevitable human experience. It's for you if you're an introvert, for you if you're an extrovert, and for you if you sit somewhere in the middle. It's for you if you just want to hear one little thing that feels familiar when the world is anything but. It's for you if you want to know you're not alone. It's for you if you felt all the feelings we talk about and want to look back on it. Now you're at a safe distance and see if you can pick out the useful bits. It's a book for anyone who feels any kind of loss acutely, so really it's for all of us. We expect it will be in every hotel room drawer soon, like a non-denominational Gideon's Bible. So what next? Well, read it, probably. And while you're reading it, take a breath, take time to reflect, to look at your situation. We want you to use it in a book club for your friends and to send photos to pals who might dig it and feel seen. To gift it, to keep it, to put your coffee on it when your nose isn't buried in it, to get out a highlighter, to make notes or just read in one big go, to use it however you find useful. Because this book, that's in one way so personal and born directly out of your own loss, is yours, wherever you are. We could think of no greater way to acknowledge how incredible the people that we're without were than to use them as a beacon. A distant, reassuring flame on the side of the mountain when you feel like it's all fog and exhaustion and frostbite, and there's not another soul around. This book is about you, about your emotional expedition, the things you might encounter, and how you can best navigate this unknowable world in a way that works uniquely for your situation. When it's all said and done, the clue is on the title. It's your loss. We're just here to provide a little companionship, so seatbelts on, we're in for quite a ride.